Hi, everybody. My name is Matt Webster. I'm the founder, CEO, and CISO of Cyvergence. Today, we're going to be covering the origin of Cyvergence. Who is Cyvergence? What are we doing? What's the purpose? So there's a lot of different things that we're going to be focusing on today. But let's go ahead and start with some housekeeping before we move forward. So this is going to be the start of a series. There's a whole bunch of things that we're going to be focusing on. I am going to bring in vendors from time to time to talk about them or get their particular perspective on things. But also I want to bring in actual practitioners to see their viewpoint and understand what they're doing. We'll be bringing in stuff where I'm going to be talking some of it on my own as well. So there's going to be a whole bunch of different things that we're doing. One of the initiatives, though, that we have here is Cyvergence 360. So this is looking at things from a very holistic standpoint. I want to bring in outside people that are outside the cybersecurity industry to talk about cybersecurity and how they focus on things, what they're doing, etc. We are going to be a little bit technical during this talk. So there are just some considerations that you want to take into account with that. I'm going to try to explain anything that I think is going to be overly techy, just so it makes a little bit more sense to you. But I first wanted to jump into a little bit about my background. So this is some of the certifications and training that I took. There's a huge list of things. Obviously, I've got a lot of certifications. The Microsoft ones are old. They're like from Windows 2000. So those are getting to be a little bit dated. But you can see here that I've kept up with a lot of the training as well. But I think what's more interesting than the certifications and the training, because that only shows a certain point of knowledge at a certain point in time, it doesn't necessarily show the experience. And I think the experience is something that's going to be a little bit more interesting. And I have to say that it's been a humbling experience, but something that you can get passionate about because you realize how much you don't know. And you're going to see this as I start to explain a little bit about my background, my history, and so on. So I started out from an IT perspective at the new school, and I was doing standard IT stuff. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know how big companies work with things, but I was running a lab and making sure the lab was up and running and doing all the things that needed to be done to make sure that it was functioning properly. It was part of a small division known as the Computer Instruction Center, but then moved into some other areas within there. But what's interesting about there, I started to become interested in cybersecurity. I didn't understand what this cybersecurity thing was. So when I was there, I took a course called the 10 Domains of the CISSP. This was being run by SANS, and it blew me out of the water. Yes, I was doing some things on the side, like I was working for the networking team and learning a little bit about them and learning about how the network was set up in addition to all my other responsibilities. But I just was blown away. There was just so much information and so many different things that I didn't consider as part of the process. It got me really passionate because I just sat there and took a lot of the certifications that you saw there and brought that into my overall knowledge. And that led me to Emblem Health. Well, at the time it was known as GHI, which had a department known as Government Programs. Government Programs was doing work for the CMS, the Center for Medicaid and Medicare Services. And there I was doing something called FISMA, the Federal Information Systems Management Agency, in particular doing NIST 853. Now, NIST 853 is very complex. There are over 1,000 individual controls when you break them out in different ways. When you look at something like, say, the payment card industry, the PCI DSS, how credit cards are, there's roughly 240 different requirements. If you look at SOC 2, for example, there's a little over 100 requirements. So I really earned my chops from a compliance standpoint, going through sometimes multiple audits in any given year related to Emblem Health. From there, I moved into the sales engineering role, which I thought was very interesting too, because it was a slightly different perspective than what I had done before working for Verizon. And I learned a lot about technology and how much I didn't know. So it was really fascinating to see that whole thing and everything that I had learned. From there, I moved into Capco. I was a GRC and security officer. Now, a few of you may not be familiar with the term GRC. It stands for governance, risk, and compliance. It is an area of security where there's a lot of tools. I'm not going to bore you with all the details, where you're bringing all these things and all of the other programs that are related to cybersecurity under one umbrella if you're doing it properly, and creates processes out of them. There's lots of variations on that, so not everybody wants to take that particular viewpoint with GRC, but those are a couple of different options that were available. From there, I moved into Healthix, where I was working. It's my first time as a chief information security officer. And I got to build the CISO, the security program, from the ground up. We were putting in the firewalls, the monitoring, the intrusion detection systems, and so on as part of that. And that was really fascinating to see a whole new perspective for how to move forward. It definitely was a very exciting time for me to build all that stuff, and I'm very thankful for that. And also, I learned a lot about how the medical world is being able to pull all that stuff in, and dove in a little bit further into the HIPAA world, which I had touched on it in Emblem Health. So from there, though, I moved into SHI. And what was exciting about SHI is they resell everybody under the sun. Just so many different technologies that I hadn't been exposed to. I didn't realize just how big of a world the cybersecurity world had become. And I didn't really realize the impact because I didn't have time to go studying all this stuff. I was busy leading a program. I didn't have time to learn about all these different types of software because I was so busy focusing on compliance and things like that when I was there. But from there, I moved into Galway. I was the global CISO there. So what I was doing is building out a program to make sure that all the other individual companies were separate from one another, but they had the right level of security. And so a lot of this is about defining what's the best way to approach things and building risk programs, the appropriate governance for an organization, and so on. I was very thankful. We did a lot of mergers and acquisition, and I really spent a lot of time working with the legal team. So I really developed a strong relationship there with them and was very happy for that. B&H also was a pretty exciting place too. So there I moved into the CISO role there, and it was definitely an exciting time for me. But one of the things that I learned every single place I went, I was learning some new things that I didn't know before. And so I think this is something that's exciting about any job or any role that you move into. The world is changing quickly. And so you learn what you don't know. And I continue to do so even today, learning about new technologies, new techniques, new leadership styles, new risk frameworks. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. But other things I've done, obviously, countless presentations. I did that all the way from, the new school all the way through B&H. So it's definitely very happy to do those types of things. I'm an author. So if you're interested in learning a little bit more about medical devices, feel free to pick up my book. Technical editor as well. All-in-one CRISC Certified Risk and Information Systems Control Exam Guide. I was very excited to work on that particular product because risk is one of my favorite topics within cybersecurity, but I'll move forward from here. So why Cyvergence? Cybersecurity is such a different term and is such a different discipline from IT, even though it's really related to it. And it needs a separate focus. I mean, it's a different type of technology. So the way that the vendors come after you are very different in the cybersecurity world than they are in the IT world. And so that's very fascinating. Well, the IT world has been evolving and changing. The cybersecurity world has been changing even more. So it's really fascinating to see everything that's going on there. But also, we're here to provide clarity. We're here to help. There's roughly 40,000 security companies, roughly 30,000 security products, 4,500 consulting firms, and over 70 different product categories. So this is pretty extreme when you look at what's out there. We can help make sense of that. Given the fact that I was in your role and I had no idea about the breadth of different pieces of software, I've spent years diving through into these different types of technologies, getting a sense of what the value would be, evaluating and see if it's going to be something that's good for you. I'm not going to claim we know everything because nobody does. I mean, each technology is changing every quarter. And there's no way for anybody to keep up to date with 30,000 security products, but we know the major ones that are out there. Anything we don't know, we're going to go out of our way to help you out. So what are our differentiators? We understand you, we get you, we know where you're coming from. We understand that you're in a very tough situation in many cases, and you want to know what works, what doesn't work. Why is it that things are a better product for what your needs are? We're going to listen to what you have to say. I don't know your companies. I don't know what your requirements are. But we can, after listening to you, we can have a conversation and take a consultative approach towards helping you get what you need to have. Obviously, there's a lot. Quality is something that's very important to me as well. If we're doing an assessment for you, we're going to give you a quality assessment. We're going to make sure that it's done the right way, that you have the appropriate documentation, because I'm a very, very big stickler on those types of things. You need those reports in order to give to other people. I know you need an executive overview to explain things so others can start to get that and get a big picture about what's going on. We can make little changes as you need throughout these types of reports. If you don't want that, we can do that too, but we definitely have a lot of options. The other thing is we're generally impartial. We're going to pick the products we think are best for you given your particular needs. If you're trying to be as thin as possible and you're trying to do a checkbox and you don't care about doing things right, we'll try to get you a product for that. If you want to do something that's a little more mature, we're definitely going to help fit your specific needs. I don't believe that any one product or any one style or any one type of compliance is going to be fitting every single company. But since I've got a very good balanced idea of what's going on, I can help bring that to you. We can also create customized solutions or resell customized solutions from others. So obviously I've got a lot of industry expertise, and this is something that I'm going to be bringing to the table when talking with other people. So there's definitely a lot going on here. So we do have a lot of specialty services, a lot of them around the GRC stuff. We do the virtual CISO work, but if you want, vendor risk management or third party, risk assessments, security training, et cetera, all of these things we can do. We can also be customized to meet some specific things that you need for your organization as well. So definitely connect with us and see what you can do. So anyway, I don't want to make this too long. We made this fairly short today. Definitely follow us on YouTube, LinkedIn, X, which was formerly Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, or you can reach out to our website. It's www.cyvergence.biz, or you can contact me at contact@cyvergence.biz. I look forward to hearing more. Thank you so much.